Hi, this is Everett, Everett's Watercolors. Welcome to my studio. And this is Simply Drawing with Everett tonight, 7:30 p.m. And I'm live here from Chesapeake. I'm broadcasting out to Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and later on Twitch, and also later on to Instagram. I'm in the studio tonight with my wife, Gloria.
Hello, everyone.
And she'll be monitoring the broadcast and also the chat room. I hope the chat room's on. I had a little technical problem there with the software. I know the broadcast is live, but if you have a comment or a question, please put them in my chat room, and give me a thumbs up and a like on the video. If you want to ask a question later on after the program, you can also make a comment in the or this video in the bottom of the comment section. So tonight I'm going to be doing a drawing, and it's going to be a 3-point perspective. And that's a little bit interesting, so I want to get there to my drawing table and get started. Here we go down to my overhead camera. Okay, 3-point perspective. It's really aerial perspective, which means you're looking at it from very high up in the air, or you're looking down at the ground level, looking up to, say, a high building. Here's an example here. There's these tall buildings here on the street level. When you look up, you see how tall those buildings are in the skyscrapers and so forth. And the reason the perspective is that they're not parallel. This side of this wall here, they are not straight up and down. They go at an angle because they disappear up here at the top, which is the third point. I did a little quick diagram here on a pencil here just to show you that if I was to emulate this buildings here from a low viewpoint or street ground viewpoint looking up, the horizon line would be somewhere. I'm using a straight edge here, would be along here, and you can see the bottom of the buildings would have a vanishing point somewhere out here to the right on this side, and the other side of the building would have a vanishing point somewhere down on the side over here. And then the side here in the foreground, this close side, would have a vanishing point all the way to the top as far as you can go. So if you're going to do a very tall building, you really need a larger piece of paper, and I'll show you that. Maybe I have a chance to show you that later on. But that's what's 3-point perspective. On the sides, you got two view of vanishing points down on here on the horizon area, and up here at the top, you got the third perspective at the very top of the drawing, coming down. And then from those points, then you could draw the side. Using a straight edge, you can draw the sides of the building. They all emanate from that one point. They would all start at that same point. So that's the general theory of three-point perspective, an aerial perspective. So let me put this aside. I'm going to do a drawing tonight of using 3-point perspective. But I'm going to do it from a different angle. I'm going to do it with the looking down on a street scene. These are some tall buildings here, and from a high viewpoint, looking down. Say you're up on an airplane or on the top of a larger building, higher building, looking down at the street. You see the tops of these buildings here with all the streets below. So that's kind of an idea of a sky view, or a bird's eye view of the buildings. So I'm going to use this one here as my. I'm going to use it here as my example. I'm going to draw a couple streets here with some of these buildings of a sky view of these particular buildings here. So we'll call it a bird's eye view of the building tops. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to take a pencil here. I'm going to make a couple reference points. I'm going to have one vanishing point out here. I'll mark that with an X. I'll call that 1. And I'll put another one over here, 2. And down here at the bottom would be 3. So what I'm doing is this point here is this is the ground point looking up. So this point here on this photograph would be somewhere down here at the bottom, way down here at the bottom, standing at the standing behind or your viewpoint of the scene from where you're standing. So on a higher building or looking down on top of these other buildings. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I got those 3. I got 1, 2, 3 vanishing points, and I can show you. Mark them on there's 1, There's 2, and there's 3 down here at the bottom, the third vanishing point. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start, and this is going to be, I'm going to use this sort of a reference here. I'm not going to draw these buildings as they are. I'm going to use this as a reference to show you I'm going to get the tops of the buildings and so forth, and the sides. So I'm going to use a Sharpie marker here to mark it down so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to start here at the bottom. I'm looking up at these buildings. I'm going to mark, let's say, a building here, right here in front of me. I'm going to put 1 point here, and I'm going to draw a straight line to show me. That's about. If I was to put my pencil out there, I could do a sighting on this building here. That's as far as I put it. Now to get the angles that I want of the buildings, I would go to number 1, viewpoint, and depending on how large the building is, let's say make this almost a square. And let's see, I'll get the back side now. To get the back side, I just use the same vanishing point over here. And then I come on this side over here. So, looking down on this building, now how do I get the sides here? Well, I got to use the third vanishing point. So from the third vanishing point, I would go up here. It gives me the side, and now the bottom side, I have to use this vanishing point up here. The street angle. And I do the same thing over here. I get this side of the building from the vanishing point here at the bottom. And I get the angle over here from the side. Vanishing point number 2. Alright, so that marks that building. Looking down, here's a rooftop, and there's the 2 sides of the building, looking at it from a very high angle. So now I'm going to go ahead and draw in some lines here for, say, the streets. Let me put I'm going to draw in a couple reference lines here. Get that line there. That's the street. That's the sidewalk next to the building. On one end of it, just to draw a couple reference lines. Okay. Now we have a street, so we'll put a street in here. Say the sidewalks. Put a sidewalk in here. I'll put a sidewalk. So we make it as wide as we want. But it'll start here at the building, going up the same way over here. Come down here. And they're going to meet out here somewhere in the front. Okay. And let's say I want to build a roadway here now. Let's say I want to do a roadway. I want to just come out here with using the same vanishing point now over here. Make the street, and I'll make another one over here, just for demonstration purposes. I'm going to do partial. I'm going to do a partial view here. I mean, I'm going to do a partial scene here, all right? So this would be the street corner right here, where the road comes in and out. And of course, we'd have a crosswalk that would come across. But I'm just going to use that part right there. Now, let's put another building in. Let's say I got a building here behind this building. So let's say I got to start here. Let me just start one mark. Now I've got it. Now this is the front. This is the side. So I got to start with a viewpoint here, number 3. And then I'll get the sides. Let's say I've got. Let's say I got the back. This is the back wall over here. Then I'm going to get the two side walls over here. I get this one. I get the back wall over here using the same vanishing points. And let's say now I can. Let's see how far I want to make that. Let's see, maybe I'll make the building make a little shorter. So I really could take I could take a pencil and get I'm using the ink pen tonight. Now the vertical side goes from the your viewpoint, which is down here at number 3. And now the other side would come from the same viewpoint over here. Okay, so as we're building these walls now, they're all getting a little bit angled because of the viewpoint. They're all the perspective is getting further and further offline. So let's make a taller building out here. Let's go way up here. I'm gonna make a tall building over here. So I'll go from this side. From there. And let's say I want to go this angle. See, I'll make this a little wider. Let's see, I want to go out. I want to go out this way. Now, this one's going to have to be a little bit longer. And I'll get the other side using this viewpoint over here. So I'm making partial lines because of using ink. I could use a pencil, but I'm using the ink as my marker. Okay. So you can see the perspective. If I had another building this tall, then it would go off at an angle, using the perspective lines from the front of the building, the side of the building, and then the top would have this angle from here, this viewpoint over here, this vanishing point here, and then the front edge would have this viewpoint here, and you see the top of the building. Okay. Let's say we came across the street here. I'll do one on this side. Let's say I had a building here. Let's say we'll put the mark right here. So that one's got to come down. See, I'm going to make this sidewalk over here. So then I would come down. I would make that Trying to see how that building would go down. Okay, made a little error there. And this line will come over here. Okay. Okay, and if I made one on this side, so you can see here as I make the buildings, I use these vanishing points. Let's make one more out here. I'm going to make one more, a big tall one over here. I come from this. This is the front. This is the front wall over here. I'll make a side wall. The side wall comes over here. And this side would come down using this side. Make it a little longer. Make it a little longer. And this one come over here. And this one come down. Then we build the back wall. It'd be over here. And that would come across here. Like that. And then you could build a little peak on top of this one. Make it different. Now when you go and make windows and so forth in the structure, you use the same vanishing point. Let's say this one here. We're going to put a row of windows. Using that vanishing point over here, getting this side of the building. These would be a row of windows. I can just rough them in now. And this side over here would be, using this vanishing point, would be the side of windows over here on the side. So it would come down like that. Give you an idea of how this would look. Okay, so and then if you wanted to put in some other types of windows, it would say maybe run vertically. Then you do the same thing down here with something like that. So that's how you would begin constructing, using the two lines here to get the left and right side, and the back and the front, and then the vertical would come from this view, from the checkpoint number 3 down here. So vanishing point 1 and 2 would control the box, the sides of the front and back, side and front and side and front over here, and the sides and the vertical sides would be controlled down here by the third viewpoint, or the third vanishing point over here. Okay. This one here I didn't get this one done very well. This would be this would come down. There'd be a front wall here. This would be very tight. And then this would come out, this would come off here. This would come off here. This would come down here. And this would drop down here. So we build a row of buildings along this avenue here, this side of the avenue. Okay, well, let me show you one. I did one with a little more time, a little more space. So that's how you would start it. Something like you got 3 vanishing points, and then you build the walls, how high you make the building, and then you get the top of the buildings and the angles of the street sides and so forth. Now here's one I did a little earlier of a more completed view. Same 3 vanishing points, 1, 2, and 3, and then I got the buildings along the side here, and the buildings down here along this side, and across the street it'd be these buildings over here, and on the right hand side it'd be these buildings over here. You can see how you use the 3 vanishing points to get the height of the building, the angle of the sides, and you see how you get the angle of the top, the rooftops. This would take care of the left and right side, and this would take care of this front and back side. This viewpoint, or this vanishing point over here. Okay, so that's how you would draw a bird's eye view of a street scene, looking down on the rooftops of a cityscape of a bunch of buildings. Okay. Now let me show you something I worked on that I think would also help to see a little bit about 3-point perspective. Now this is a bigger diagram now. I used a larger sheet of paper here. Now, what I did here was I actually started with the ground view looking up to a tall building, just like I showed in the very first example. And I got the vanishing point up here at the top. And then the other 2 vanishing points are down here at the bottom. I don't have them, let's see, I have them marked here. This one here goes up here. Yeah. So this particular one here, I can build the tall buildings here, and then I can make my horizon line about anywhere I want to go as far as the building at the bottom. Okay, but I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buildings there. Now if I take this same diagram and turn it around and use the vanishing point at the bottom, like I showed in my example I did. The vanishing point's down here looking up. I'm looking down on top of the buildings. Then you can see now I can build the rooftops with another set of vanishing points over here, here, and here. Coming down here and coming across this way. Okay, so I can use this diagram here. I can go looking down high, looking down on top of the rooftops, or I can turn it around and be on the street side looking up at a tall building. And I get the viewpoint from the ground to the top of the buildings, which would put the peaks up here at the very top. You can see how they all would come together at one point, all the rooftops. And that's very similar to that photograph I showed you in the beginning. This one here, if I was looking up, I would see all the rooftops all converging all converging to a point up here above and coming down.
We have a comment that it looks so dramatic, really works well. Thanks for showing us.
Yes, I think this is a good way to take a say a video, take a photograph, or take a photograph out of a book or something that you see, and you can actually draw. Now you won't draw exactly what you see in the photograph, but what you can do, you can assume that you're at this point here, and you can draw in the shapes that you see. And it is, I use this as an example. This was a reference of the buildings, and then I went ahead and drew in a street here, and a street here, and then I went in with the perspectives that I on a small 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Now, if you get a much larger sheet of paper, then your buildings can be more dramatic, and your streets can be a little wider, and so forth. Okay, but if you actually look down on a building from this angle, look straight down. This is the viewpoint you would have. You'd have these buildings all coming together at one point.
That was from Stark Music Presents. It's good to see you back with us. Thank you for your comment.
All right, thank you. Yeah, that's a good way to make a dramatic viewpoint of, say, a street scene or a city scene. And I've done several of those, and I really enjoy doing them. They're a lot of fun. And then you can put different colors in there and actually make a painting out of it, or a nice drawing. Okay, so let me go back to the main table, the main camera. Okay, that's Everett's watercolors, and simply drawing with Everett, having another good time tonight. I thought I would show it. It's a little technical to do 3-point perspective. 1-point perspective is pretty easy. If you look at 1 point, you can get perspective down the street. 2-point perspective gives you a side view and a front view of a building. And then 3-point perspective gives you the tops and both sides. So that's the difference between the 1, 2, and 3-point perspectives. It gives you different viewpoints of the shape you're looking at. It could be a building, it could be anything. It could be any kind of a structure, or say a mountain or something else. Okay. Okay, that concludes my demonstration tonight of 3-point perspective. I'll be back again next week at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Simply Drawing for Everett. Also, I'll be back next Thursday at 2:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Everett's Watercolors. I do a watercolor demonstration. And on the weekends, I put out anyone can draw with one line only. It comes out on Sunday. And if you subscribe to my channel, you'll be notified of all these videos that are coming out. So give me a thumbs up and a like, and if you have any comments after the show, you can still put them on the bottom of this video, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you very much for looking in, and until next week, you all be safe, and